give y'all a overview of my new air compressor I just got. It is a Kobalt 30-gallon oil air compressor. It's got a 2-stage pump on it, and it's 175 psi max. If you're interested, the model number is XC302000. It is belt driven off the electric motor. It comes pre-wired for a 120 volt circuit. You can also wire it up for 240 volts. It's pretty simple to do. In the instruction manual, it gives you the diagram how to do that. But as of right now, it's working just fine for me on 120 volt. It claims that it pulls 15 amps on a 120 volt circuit, 7.5 amps on a 240 volt circuit. Out of the box, the air compressor, the cut in and cut out was a little different. It wasn't set to that 175 psi max. It would cut on at about 110 and cut out at about 135. So I went in there and adjusted that. I got it set for the shutout for around 160 psi, and that's plenty enough for what I needed to do. It has a 2 horsepower electric motor on it with a cast iron oil lubricated pump. It has a 5.3 CFM rating at 90 psi, a 6.1 CFM rating at 40 psi. It has air-filled tires on it that roll pretty easily. One of the pros I like about it is that it is an oil compressor. Oil compressors tend to last longer than an oilless compressor. I just like the fact that it has oil in it you can change out. And from my research, an oil compressor is going to hold up to more usage than an oilless compressor. I use an air compressor a pretty good bit, so that's good for me. Right here, it has an air filter in it. Just slide the cap off. This whole thing slides off, and it's got a pleated air filter in it. I kind of like that because my old Craftsman oilless compressor just had like a sponge type material for the inlet. One thing I have to say is this air compressor is much more quieter than my oilless compressor from Craftsman. It was also a 30-gallon air compressor, 150 psi max. This one still makes noise, but to me, the noise it makes isn't nearly as nerve-wracking as that oilless compressor was. It has a trip reset on the motor, so if it overheats, it'll trip out instead of burning the motor up. The electrical box, it has a screw right here that you can increase or decrease the cut in cut out pressure. This one screw controls both of them, so it'll give you about, I think it's around 25 psi difference. Once it's reaches 25 psi below the cutout, it cuts back in. Turn it in clockwise to increase your pressures, turn it counterclockwise to decrease your pressures. Some of the things I didn't like from it straight out of the box, the drain valve on the bottom leaked from the get-go. It was the actual threads, not the valve itself. There was no thread sealant on them threads for that drain valve. Everything else looks like they had it, but that drain valve they did not. Another thing too is the gauges that came on this one, that to me they were really crappy. I took my gauges off my old compressor and used them on here, changed them out, and put the ones that came on this compressor on my old compressor, which I won't be using much anymore. Another thing I did, this is something I like to do to my air compressors, I like putting a ball valve on the outlet straight out of the compressor. That way I can cut the air off if there's any leaks in the regulator or in the line or any fittings anywhere. It won't leak all your air out all the time. I just cut that off. I've had many problems with these regulators. The seal will start leaking in them after a while, and it'll just leak all your air out. So turning that off eliminates that problem from happening. Also too, I redid the drain valve on it. I like having this ball valve that sticks out a little bit where it's easier to get to. All I did was put a 90-degree fitting on the bottom of the tank. Ran it was either a 4 or 6 inch long 1/4 inch nipple, then attached the ball valve to it. That way I can let the air out of it much easier than having to reach all the way up under there. To me, it's just a convenience thing. This compressor normally retails for around $500. In my local Lowe's, I got it marked down on clearance for $125. So it was a deal you couldn't really pass up. So pretty much out of the box, it's a great compressor. There's a few things they did cheap out on, like the gauges. I hated them, and that drain valve leaking. But other than that, once I got it set up like the way I wanted to, I love it. It keeps up real good. Keeps up with my air impact and all that. Everything I need it to do, it does for me. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please remember to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel.